I'm Ronald, alcoholic. Thank you for that introduction there, Brad. I wish I was frying chicken instead of speaking. It's a lot easier. This is the third time I spoke up here, and I speak we're in a different spot every time. First time I spoke downstairs, and it was like, whoo, it's like we was in there like sardines. But I'm very grateful to be here and be sober. A lot of speakers get up here and they talk about they didn't have no consequences in their drinking. That wasn't my story. I had a lot of consequences. My wife left me, and today, my sobriety date is December the 12th of 2005. If I make it a few more months, it'll be 10 years. But my wife left me, and I know from being in this program and learning about honesty, it wasn't her fault. I mean, I didn't come home at night. We had a little kid, and I was a deadbeat dad. But through this program, we have a relationship today. It's like Brad talked about gratitude, man. I got into AA, and it's been absolutely wonderful. I mean, that's just the truth. Sometimes when I speak, I talk about the drunk Lord, and I don't get to talk about how good this program's been to me. But I come in here 9 years and 8 months ago, and I picked up one white chip. And I'll be forever grateful for that. And I hope I can keep doing that, and that's why I'm here speaking. I don't want to speak, but hey, the guys, old timers, and the people at Samaritan Colony told me, do what they asked to do, and that's what I've been doing. I'm grateful to be here and be sober. And I'll try and go from the start, but some other consequences I had, so I want y'all to know I do qualify for this program. I drank many a Budweiser. I had blinders on my eyes for many, many years. I never seen nothing wrong with it. Like I say, I lost a lot, but in 2002, I'll tell you, this is one reason I like to remember. 2002, I got a DUI. I'd been drinking all day, all night. I blew about 18. This was my first DUI in North Carolina, but I had 2 in Louisiana and 2 in South Carolina. And through the grace of God, neither one of these showed up on the computer. But I got me a lawyer, and I paid him $750, and we went to court. When we got to court, I didn't know I was going to have one of those breath machines put on my car. And I had to go pay for that. I paid a $750 fine. I did community time. I mean, they put it to me. I thought I was going to get off because my first DUI was $100, but it was way back. But they put this machine on my car, and I'm absolutely, when I think about drinking, I think about that machine. I do, man. I have never been so embarrassed. It's helped me. That's what I had to go through to learn to stay sober. I had to take a lot of pain. It took a lot of pain for me. Man, what I put my mother and father through, just don't, man. Wouldn't come home at night, hard-headed, wouldn't listen to nobody. Thank Lord I listened to AA, some of the people in AA and some of the people at Samaritan Colony. And just so grateful to be here and be sober. And other consequences is, I lost my family, but I got it back, but it's all through this program. But I would like to start out, I was born and raised in Richmond County, born in 1952, to 2 wonderful parents. They were Southern Baptists. I went to church. I was just good parents. I know today really good. I lost my father a year ago, and I'm so grateful for this program. He's seen his son sober 9 years. Man, I don't know if I'd be drinking today if I hadn't been able to make amends to that man. I'm just so grateful for the things he did and how he led me. He's a good father, and like I say, the longer I stay here, the more I learn. My mother's still alive, and I'm there every day. His last request for me is take care of her, and I can't do it if I pick up a drink. Another thing I understand, I never made a good decision once I picked up a Budweiser. Never stopped. It was just one after another, one after another. But I have a brother and 2 sisters, and I've seen no one in my family take a drink. I've never seen no drinking was in my family, alcohol, nothing. Never seen my father not even drink a beer, nothing. The only time I remember they had some Jack Daniels, in case you got a cold, they'd mix it with a little honey, sugar, and lemon, give you like a little toddy if you felt bad. And I really didn't like liquor, so I didn't care for that. But my first time I took a drink was I was 16 years old when I went to the little bar called the Hub. And I went with some older guys, you know, because that's what they were doing. And I told them, you know, when I was coming up, you just had to be 18 to drink. And I was small, and I said, one of y'all go in there and get me a Budweiser. And they said, oh, go on in there, they'll give you one. And I went in there, and this, man, it was just like a thrill. They give me a little 8-ounce Bud in the bottle. And man, it tastes awful. And I drank 2 of them, but, you know, I didn't have a pink cloud come over, anything happen. But when I got home later, I said, man, you know, I want to do that again. But my father was strict, and I knew I couldn't drink and come home much. And like I say, that's the heck I put my parents through. And went to school, and I'm going to just be honest, I made D's, C's and D's, because that's all I wanted to do was get by. Never had no goals in my life. That's just kind of what I wanted to do. I figured down in Richmond County I'd be working in a cotton mill, because that's what most done. My father was a mechanic, and my mother worked in the hosiery mill there. She had one job all her life. It's the only job I know she ever had. About 40 years on the same job. I could never heard no one doing nothing but everything right. I've never known her to do nothing. And I didn't get none of them genes. I did the opposite. Same way with my daddy. You know, go to work, be on time, and that's what they taught me. But man, I wouldn't listen. I was hard-headed. I did not want to listen to nothing. But I made it through high school. Like I say, bad my teeth, went to work at the mill, and I met this little girl. And, you know, I was drinking on like Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. They had a place down there called Crackers. Had several hot spots, I call it. I like to drink in bars, honky-tonks, casinos, those kind of places. I wasn't a closet drunk. You know, go get a fifth of liquor and stay home. I got to go somewhere to be seen, make a racket, shoot pool, music, get in trouble, drive, get DUIs. That's how I drank. I mean, that's just the truth. And if I was at this bar, I said, wonder what's going on over there at that bar, you know. So that didn't mix. But, you know, things kind of got tough. My girlfriend, she got pregnant, and I was just drinking, you know, and she had good parents, and they put us in a trailer. I was working down at the mill. She didn't work. That's one thing I had a resentment against her. She didn't work. I worked. This is my money, you know, that kind of deal. And I'm going to be honest, because I know today she was a good girl, but I wasn't ready. I couldn't be a husband or a father. We had a little boy, and like I say, we couldn't get along, and to make the long story short, I couldn't get along with her. I got mad with my parents. I felt like, I don't know, I didn't fit in and just didn't feel like I was good as the rest of them. And I'll just be honest, I decided I'm just up and leave. I was about 22, 23. I had a little old truck. And I heard you could get a job in New Orleans on the oil rigs. That's what I wanted to go do. And I got my truck, and I run out of money when I got to Atlanta. I ain't told my parents where I'm going. I ain't told my wife. I didn't tell nobody. I just done like Hank Snow. I just vanished. And I got in Atlanta, and I got broke, and I went to work in a labor pool. You go in these labor pools, and you just work daily. You work, and they pay you, you know, and I go drink it up. So finally, I got enough money, and I got on down to New Orleans. And pretty much the same thing happened there, but I will tell you, that's where my drinking really escalated. They drank 24/7 down there all the time. Man, the first time I went down Bourbon Street, they have girls coming out in these swings. I mean, just neon signs. Everybody's drinking in the street. They just, you know, it's a full-time party. And man, for me, a little country boy, I mean, that's what I wanted to do. I just loved it. And the only hard part, I didn't have a really good job. Like I said, I was working in daily labor, and I was just going, you know, staying in these cheap motels and drinking up my money. That's just what I did. Never seen, you know, worried about my child. Wasn't worried. I didn't call home for a year. I got mad with everybody, and I left home for a year. But I was going down the street one day, and this guy stopped me and said, you want to go to work in the oil rig, out on the oil rig? I said, look, I'm from North Carolina. I don't know nothing about no oil rig. He said, you ain't got to know nothing. Said, I'm going to just send you out there, wash, clean up, and whatever. I said, well, when you want me to go to work? He said, right now. And the guy put me in the car. This was, I don't know what year it was, in the 80s, I'd left. And man, work down there was just booming. The oil field was booming. And it's the first time I'd ever been on a helicopter. And we go over and that thing going, and it just, I was a little scared, but when we got out there, you could see oil rigs everywhere. I mean, they were just everywhere. I couldn't believe it. It was pumping so much oil and gas. And we stopped on this rig. It was a Shell, run by Shell Oil, but I was working for the catering company. And I was sent out there to wash dishes, clean up, make salads. We had about 40 guys working. Man, they'd come in, that oil, man, they'd be throwing the chain. And I got to understand some of it, but I didn't want to do that kind of work. But they had me in there cleaning up, and I loved it. You'd work 7 days and be off 7 days. And that worked perfect for me. I could work 7 and stay drunk 7. That's just the truth. And just kind of like how it went there just to make a long story short, there for about 15, 20 years, that's pretty much what I did. I'd come home, I'd get a pocket full of money and come home, act like a big wheel. I did call my parents, let them know where I was and working, but I never took care of my son, called him. I'd come home, act like a big shot, take him to the beach, stuff like that. But I did what I wanted to do. That's what I understand today. I always did. I was so selfish and self-centered. I did exactly what I wanted to do all the time. And pretty much got to drinking, you know, it just went on and on. So I started dating this girl, and I'd lived with her 8 years. And she was really nice. First time I met her in a bar, she was drinking White Russian. She drank one all night. And I just drank like a fish. But she liked me for some reason. She had a nice home, and I worked. And she was in antique business. She sold old antiques, a lot of milk glass and stuff like that, which I didn't know nothing about. A lot of that stuff, I sold some of her stuff for nothing and that kind of stuff. But she put up with me for 8 years. I'd get locked up on Bourbon Street and call her to come get me, those kind of things. But on the 8th year, I come home one night drunk. She said, look, we got to do something. She said, you got 2 choices. You can leave or go to AA. And this is the first time I've ever heard of AA. And I really liked her, and she was good to me. But she said her father and brother had been in AA, and it helped them. So she kind of put the ultimatum on me that, you know, so I went. I went to one AA meeting. I was drinking. I don't know what happened. I wasn't planning on listening. I didn't want to listen. So it pretty much, you know, I broke up with her, and that's when I really escalated to drinking. Like I say, my drinking was just, you know, it took full control. I had, you know, I drank till I was broke. I didn't, you know, some people say they lost a home, a car. I had a car, but I never worked and paid for a home. That was never my goal. I wasted my money. It's just the truth. It had so much control that I just, you know, and it was just Budweiser. I didn't care about, I didn't have no drugs. I didn't like liquor. I mean, if you had it, I drank it if I didn't have no beer, but I'm just saying, if I went and bought it, I could just sit and drink beer all day. At the end there, I was drinking at least a couple of cases of beer. But I was working, and, you know, I was really just maintaining. The only way I was keeping the job was the girl liked me. But I went up to the head cook, and I was making $1,000 a week, and that's how I was living. So there at the end, after the girl run me off, I started staying in motels, working a week, drinking a week. So finally I had a call that my father was sick. He had some stents put in, and my mother told me I needed to come home. And this was after many years down there, and just to make a long story short, I didn't have no money. So she had to send me the money to come home. I'm making $40,000 a year and had zip. That's just the truth. And so I come home, and got me a job back in the mill. My father was sick, and they needed me. And my father went through that. Then he had open heart surgery, triple bypass. Then he had what was the other one he had? He had a fibrillator put in. He had the pacemaker. He had it all. And then, like I say, last year he got cancer and he passed away May 19th in March. So, but that was very grateful I was sober, but I'm going to get to that. So, you know, I come here and I went back the same cycle, got a job drinking. So, like I talked about, 2002, I went and got a DUI. And like I say, it was devastating, but I didn't quit drinking. You know, I hadn't had enough pain. And here's where I went in, I was working down at the mill, Clockman Mill, and I got off one morning, I went and played golf. And I had saved some money through the 401 and just working, staying at home with my parents, helping out, and I was able to save some money. And I just drank so much beer that day. I got off work, went and played golf, and I said, man, I'm going to the beach. I'm going to the beach. And I stayed down there 3 months, non-stop drinking. I got my money, I went and, what made me mad, I called these people that had my money in the 401, and I thought I could get it out in a day or two, and they told me it's going to be 15 days. Boy, it made me mad. But I hung around. I mean, I was just drinking, partying, going to bars, you know, $3.75 a drink. And, man, it was escalating. And, like I say, I was just drinking every day. And in 2005, it was September, I had left home and went down there, and this was in December. I started asking the Lord to help me. I said, Lord, please help me. But I'm going to be honest, I still would get up, go get a case of beer, and I'd go to the bar for happy hour. And I was about to go through all that money, and that's one reason I was praying and getting word. I think I had $9,000 or $10,000 in this, and I had $200 left. I said, Lord, what am I going to do? And I went to pray. I said, Lord, help me. I need to do something. It's the first time I decided, man, this stuff's taking the best of me. I was 52 years old then, but I still kept drinking. Then one morning, I'd get up every morning, I was even starting to drink Budweiser in the morning for breakfast. And, but that morning, for some reason, God was with me and answered my prayers. I got up and went to get a biscuit at Bojangles, where I was staying there in a motel, and I run into my brother. And my brother pulled me over on a 4-way stop sign. He had his wife and a little dog with him. And he stopped me. He said, look, man, we couldn't find you. All the family's worried about you. You ain't called to work. You just been gone for 3 months. What's going on? He said, don't you think you need some help? And that's the first time I told someone I want some help. And I can't believe it. I laid there, I had a little Toyota car, and I laid down on the steering wheel, and there was like a little shining light shined on my shoulder. And it's the most peace and calm I've ever been. Said, everything's going to be all right. He said, you want help, we're going to help you. His wife's a nurse. And then I come home. My brother took me to his house, and I went to mental health. Went to see about getting some help. And this is the first time I sat down with a counselor or anybody else and told him how I drank. I didn't tell him I drank a few beers. I told him how much I was really drinking. And he said, did I want treatment? And I said, yes, sir. And he said, have you ever heard of Samaritan Colony? I said, no, sir. He said, it's a rehab out off 220, but you have to stay there 28 days. I said, well, that's where I want to go. I said, yeah, that's where I want to go. I want to get everybody off my behind, because I really didn't want to go to my father's. And, you know, my brother and his wife, I didn't want to inconvenience them, but they would have helped me, or I could have, but I decided to go to this place for 28 days. This was in December. My parents come and asked me not to come because they wanted me to be home for Christmas, but I decided to go on because I was ready. That's what I believe today. I was wanting some help, and I don't think I would have made it. So I went in there on December the 12th, went through Christmas, stayed there through New Year's. The first 8 to 10 days, I didn't want to have nothing to do with Harold and Robert. Patricia was there then. What a lovely lady. She's moved on, man, she was a sweetheart. And the preacher, you know, I just didn't want to hear what they had to say. But after The 10th day, I don't know where it was, Harold Robert, they said, your life is unmanageable. And for some reason that hit me. Man, that is exactly what's wrong with me. It's the first time anybody stood up and told me what's going on in my life. I mean, they knew exactly what's going on. Man, it was eating me up. Mentally, physically, and spiritually, I was beat. And I said, darn, after that, and I talked to Harold, I said, I'm going to give this a shot. I'm going to start studying and trying to do, I was really just there first 8 or 10 days, feeling sorry for myself and everything. So I started doing what they told me to do, studying, being, doing what I needed to do. And I made my 28 days. And I was coming up here to Matheson's to get a bed. And through the grace of God or whatever, there was no beds. And Harold, they had a trailer out there across the street, and he told me to go move in it. And there was a boy working there at Pinehurst number 2 over at the Carolina, and he said he's going to get me a job. And I went up there and I got a job. I got a job out there washing dishes. Man, they'd be piled up in there every morning, but I was glad to see them. I had my little Toyota, and I was going to work, and I was grateful. Harold was letting me stay there free. I wouldn't have to pay no rent. I had a place to eat and everything. All I can say is some way through the grace of God, the Lord knows what I needed. I couldn't ever hardly pay my bills. That's just the truth. I'd rather drink. So I went there and did what they asked me to do. I go to meetings. I went to meetings every day. I went to a meeting every day. I went to a meeting about every day for 4 or 5 years. That's just the way it was. I needed it. I had a home group. Man, number one thing they told me, keep it simple. Go to meetings, pray. Now one thing I didn't do, well, I tried. He told me to get a sponsor. I got a temporary sponsor. And I liked this guy. He was living there at the colony. And he was more like a night watchman. But we didn't do nothing. He never come over, let's do the steps. I stayed sober through meetings in a home group. And I ain't got a sponsor yet, but I'm doing what I need to do. I don't recommend you do that, but it's kind of happened to me. I'm going to tell you it is. I know today I can't drink. There ain't a doubt in my mind, I can't pick up a drink. But so I stayed there, started working, and the lady that was working there got sick. And Harold come over to me one day and asked me would I like the job there at the colony, because I had cooked the cooking job. And I said, yeah, Harold, I'd like to have it. I was working down up here, and they wasn't paying much. So I took the job, man, and that was another blessing. I come there and ended up with a job, a home, and sobriety. And that was just, I think, kind of the course the Lord led me. I asked the Lord to help me, and it's all good. I mean, I put on my hands and knees, just lead me in the right direction. So when I started doing that, I started making amends. And like I'm going to tell you, the hardest amends I had to make was to my ex-wife. But old timer told me, look, that's what you need to do. And no, today, hey, it wasn't her, it was me. And I called her up, met her at Shawnee's one day, and told her, it was my fault, forgive, the things I did. Not, especially you don't come home at night. I wouldn't have put up with her not coming home at night. I would have been, run her off. But she put up with that for a long time, but it was my doings, not hers. And man, it was like a whole load off of me. And I said, man, I like this AA. It's starting to work. And I went and called my son. Now, this is someone I did nothing to. But he knows about AA, and he's a good kid. And I called him, and he's got his own business and everything. Had nothing to do with me. Nothing. I just did, I just did what I wanted to do those years. But I called him up, and I told him I wanted to talk to him. And I told him, I'm in AA now, I'm trying to do the right thing. I want to make amends. And he said, Daddy, here's the way I see it. Good Lord wanted Grandma and Grandpa to raise me. Said, I'm not going to hold it against you. Man, that was another load off of me. That's just what AA has done for me. I got 2 beautiful little grandboys, and during the 4th of July, we was down at the beach. And now I can go get them, take them to the beach, 1-7 and 1-11. And we was down there laying, we went and got this nice room, and they had all these water parks. And, you go in the bucket, fall on you and all, and we was down there, and the little grandboy come up to me and said, Papa, this is the greatest day I ever had. And you know what? I told the Lord, thank you. I mean, this is life. This is what life's about. And man, AA was just so good to me. And I went in my home group. I become a JSR. I did what they told me to do. And, you know, it ain't that hard. It ain't that hard to do the right thing today. And I'm just telling you, man, I was so hard-headed. I listened. One thing I'm going to tell you. My brother come up and talked to me one day. He said, look, Ronald, you need to read Proverbs. The book of Proverbs. And I'm going to tell you what it says. It teaches wisdom and knowledge and understanding. Man, as you get older, you get a little wiser. And I started reading that. And I mean, there's a lot of people. I started listening to Harold and these people with a lot of wisdom. I mean, they know what's going on. I knew Robert. I used to run around with Robert. And when I come to the colony, Robert had been sober 20 years. And I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I said, no way. He's a counselor, and he hugged me. It just kind of like when I got to the colony, my life changed. The Lord had put me there for a reason, and all those people. And I'm going to be honest, everyone in AA has been good to me. Wherever I go, it don't make no difference. Albemarle, Myrtle Beach, Red Springs, I spoke Wadesboro, Churraw, all those places. Man, what nice people. I mean, I've always been welcome, and it just kind of fit for me. Man, AA, it worked for me. It just was, you know, it taught me how to stay sober. I understand today, I can't drink. You know, as long as I don't pick up a drink, I have a pretty good day. And I'm just so blessed for my grandchildren and everything. And me and Harold, man, we get to go to races. I do a lot of things with the guys in AA. Now we're starting to play golf on Saturday. 16 of us get together. We've been going down to Santee Cooper on golfing things, you know, instead of blowing my money on what I'm doing. But I can never believe how blind I was to what alcoholism was doing to me. And I've heard people say, you know, about the disease. My drinking was out of control. And I never thought about, you know, how many other people's lives I went through. And I never understood about, you know, I'm going to go to it. They told me when I first started, you're going to go to an AA meeting. And how's that going to help me stay sober? I mean, I didn't understand some of that, but it just has worked. I believed. I'll tell you what, I seen Robert and Harold and how good their life was. It was a lot better than what I had. I was irritable, restless, discontent, had nothing going for myself. And that's just the way it was. And I can't believe today, you know, man, I got a nice car, I got nice clothes, I'm able to pay my bills. And to be honest, I had never had a credit card, a checking book, none of that, and I got all that. And I mean, I ain't worried about no money. I ain't never had a whole lot of money, but it's nice to have a few dollars in your pocket instead of just throw it away and give it away. You know, that's pretty much what I did. I'm going to tell you, I blacked out when I drank, so I don't really know a lot of all what did happen or what I did do. But I did go through did the steps. Man, I did the 4-step with Robert. And we was out under the gazebo. And all that stuff, I let it out. I let it all go. I think we stayed out there 2 or 3 hours. I don't know if I could do 8 hours like I see some of them do. That's a little over the line for me, but what it takes is what it takes. But Robert said, you know, you just let it go. And I knew. And I just felt so relaxed with Robert because I knew him. You know, you know, all the things I did, the lying, the cheating, the stealing. I went down one Sunday morning and told my parents, you know, about everything I'd ever stole from them. My daddy just sat up there. You know, he had some rare coins one time, and I went and took them. And I like to shoot pool. And I was about 16, 18, went and took his money. You know, I made amends for all that, but only through this program could I have did that. Only through this program, because I wouldn't listen to nothing, nobody. And now we have Harold retired. We get to go do things together a little more, and now we have a new guy, Pat. Man, he's a good guy. I enjoy working with Pat. You know, you just do what you're told. It's kind of like in the program AA, I just go ahead and do what I'm told to do. Whether I like it or not, I just go ahead and do it. And I'm so grateful to be here and be sober. It might be a little earlier, but You know, God's been good to me. This program's been good to me. I'm just grateful to have my family back. Go do things together. Do things with the AA people. And the Lord's a big part of my life. I go to church every Sunday now with my mother. My sister lives up here. And she goes to church way down the country, Baptist church. And you know, it's kind of like the song they sung Sunday, just as I am, that's how I come here, just as I am. And y'all accepted me. It don't matter where you got on blue jeans or suit. You know, if you pick up trash, cook, whatever, they accept you here. And I just felt so at home. And the preachers talked about Barbados. He was blind and he was a beggar. And he heard that Jesus was going to be in Jericho. And he made his way through multitudes of people. And Jesus seen him and gave him sight. And that was amazing to me, and that's kind of how it's been for me. I was blind, and I found, you know, AA, and y'all give me sight. I'm so grateful to be here tonight and be sober, and it's about all I got. And I love all y'all. Thank you.